I'm back for part 2, and I'll be answering some questions and defining how some of these mechanics work a little bit better, because there were a lot of questions on Reddit and in the comments, more than I'm used to. So we'll get into those and we'll show some more of the core mechanics. The previous video was a good just to get in there and see how everything works, but we'll take it to the next level and show how everything kind of comes together in more detail. Now to start off here, we'll be wanting to look at how attack damage is applied. So in my previous video I said you needed 123% bonus damage, correct? Now when you're starting out you can figure that out pretty loosely, right? Because you don't have a lot of extra flat damage. As you go later on, you're going to want to pay attention to certain stats, and here in attributes, that stat is going to be right here. So your base attack is 535. So this is how we're going to get to the 1-to-1 rule, right? Because you want a percentage of your attack equal to a percentage of your elemental or physical, which is also equal to your, crit damage, right? And then the crit chance is applied at 123% after. And so the other things are easy to figure out. The elemental and the physical are easy to figure out, but you're going to have to manually, and a lot of this is manual, right? I'm just showing you the core mechanics. You're going to have to figure out how to get there with your individual gear. I'm just showing you how to do it, because the meta is going to change, the items are going to change, everything in this game is going to change. You're going to go to another game, that's going to change too. So here's how we get there. And as the meta changes, you can figure this out with your own gear. So our base attack is 535, right? That is from my official. I'm not super high level. I'm level 37. I haven't hit that AR 40 yet. So my base damage here on my level 70 official is 535, right? That's her without any items at all. So nothing. These are her stats. Now we're getting an extra 1074. This is way higher than is preferred, right? Because you don't always get to pick your gear. You can just try and guide your gear to be as close as possible to that golden number of equalizing. As you can see, my bonus physical damage here is only 100%, right? And I said to start building crit at 123% if you can get these other two stats to 123% of their original. As you can see here, I'm basically double that number here. But that's because, my artifacts, I didn't get all the rolls I wanted, and some of the rolls I got really good rolls for attack percent, right? So this is what I ended up with here. But ideally, I would have been able to perhaps get some legendary artifacts, right, and put it into the physical damage instead of my legendary attack damage artifact. But that's what's fun about these games, is you go with the rolls. However, I'm not running 200% attack damage. I'm only running about 95% or so attack damage. And I'll show you where that extra attack damage comes from that you have to factor in. Let's take a look at my relics here. There's 35%. There is another 3%, another 35%, another 15%. And about another 5%. So somewhere around 95%, something like that. I'm not actually going to add that up. I'm just using that for a quick reference. So we're receiving about half of our bonus damage, right? So there's like plus 500 or so extra damage from our artifacts with percents. However, we're receiving about 200%. And where the rest of that is coming from is from our feather here for flat damage. There are other artifacts here, that give flat damage too, but your primary source of your extra flat damage will be your feather and your weapon. So here you can see I'm getting 347 from the weapon, and I'm receiving another 311 from the artifact. Now, when you're calculating your percentages to equalize, you're going to have to take those into consideration when you're doing this, to the point that my feather and my artifact alone, with no percentages added on, are enough to equalize my attack damage to my bonus physical damage. That means in this situation, these attack damage artifacts that I have are actually overkill. it's actually too much. So what I need to do to distribute things properly is take one of my artifacts, and I either need to somehow get some more physical damage here, you know, pray to RNGesus, right? Or it is time for me to start going into critical hit damage. Because as you can see, I already have a little bit of crit rate here. I can start making use of my crit damage. And all I would need to do to make this crit damage efficient is get a couple substats here on bonus physical damage, and then I could start utilizing this because all of this extra attack damage is being used inefficiently. So essentially that's going to mean that I need to replace this slot right here, which can have a chance for crit damage or crit percent, preferably with a physical damage substat to make it all worth it. But as you can see, RNG was not kind to me yet. And so that is how that mechanic works. So to reiterate, your bonus percent, so say 123% of your attack damage, is going to be 123% of this number, and not of this number, and not of this number. It is not actual percentages that you are taking into account when looking at your gear, but rather a manual input that you are putting in yourself, applying to this number right here, your base damage compared to your physical damage or your elemental damage. And with that out of the way, I will touch up on some other questions and explain a couple other mechanics and rumors that have been going around that were brought up from the last video. The first rule is that any gains in critical hit chance, despite giving less per stat than other stats, you know, say is like attack damage or crit, you have to divide by a factor of 1.5 for that compared to attack, right? Until it's giving half the yields, at least, compared to the other stats, critical hit chance is always going to be in your favor after the 123% rule, because we're using 3 multipliers. So it's okay that some stats give less than others for their respective items, you know, like physical damage items. If I go over here, you can see that I'm getting more physical bonus damage than my attack damage, right? But until this is giving double my attack damage, you don't have to worry about it, right? So as long as you keep these numbers as close together as possible, you're not going to run into an issue. Like I said, because you're multiplying with 3 different numbers, you're going to have to go into such high inequality issues that it just doesn't exist in Genshin right now. It should also be noted that any critical hit chance prior to this rule is considered wasted potential, kind of like my wasted potential with my excessive attack percent because of our lack of fortune. It is also important to note that your flat damages are taken into account after your base damages. It's applied on the stat over here. So what you would do is multiply your base damage by your attack percent and then add your flat damage from your weapon and artifact. And then that's how you get this green number right here. And after it pairs these two together, boom, there's your total attack damage. And a rumor that I've heard that's been going around lately is that there is a critical hit chance soft cap or hard cap. I cannot actually confirm anything about that, but if that is the case, then I would recommend building your critical hit chance up to the soft cap, because until we have the hard numbers, there's absolutely no telling what the formula for it is. So for the moment, until there's more information on what this supposed soft cap or hard cap is, which a lot of people seem to be backing, so it may be true, I would just build up into whatever that soft cap is, and then I'll make another video after the numbers come out explaining what numbers you would want to hit when you get to that late game crit chance. But until there are actual hard numbers, I mean, I literally can't do anything about that. And so there's the clarification that I wanted to touch up on. I would like to keep going into these and explaining more features and how things work. I mean, if these videos keep getting attention, I'll keep making them. Why not? That's what I'd love to do. I hope y'all enjoy this, and let me know what else you would like to know. Maybe there's something someone else hasn't touched up on, and I would love to tackle it. Peace!